to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. It's WTF, Window Treatment Friday. And as per typical, I'm joined by my trusty colleague, Vita. Hi, Vita. How are you?
Hey, LuAnn. I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me on again.
Of course. I love doing this with you. Before we get started, I do want to thank Kirsch. I love doing things with Kirsch, too. So we have used Kirsch at
So do I.
Exactly, right? We have used Kirsch at WindowWorks since we've been in business, and they are your place to source drapery hardware. I want you to go to Kirsch, KIRSCH.com. When you get to Kirsch.com, you will see the entire gallery there of all of the different types of drapery hardware, the decorative hardware, the non-decorative hardware, the motorized Breeza collection, everything for your window treatment product. And also when you're at Kirsch.com, you can find the dealer locator that is near you. And when you establish that relationship with that local dealer, that's where you can understand where Kirsch can help you on all of your window treatment projects. So go to Kirsch.com. All right. Now, Vita, you asked me, could we do something different today? And I thought,
Yes,
all right.
I've been into doing some things differently slightly, and just putting a twist on them. And, we've done a lot of shows that were very kind of knowledge based about window treatments, and those have been fun. But the last two shows, I don't know, I just had this calling to do something a little different.
Well, you know me and the intuition calling, so I'm all about let's answer our inner goddess, and whatever she tells us to do, we got to at least pay attention to.
And the best part is you're always game. I take a box and I'm like, LuAnn, I've got something different that I'd like to propose.
Exactly. So here's the thing. Vita asked if we could do an on-air coaching session. As you know, that Vita formally coaches with me, but she said, I would like to do it on air. And like she said, I'm like, all right, let's do it. Like this. So it's interesting, and I hadn't shared this with Vita, and I'm going to share it now on air. Uh-oh. She did send 4 topics that she is struggling with, and just in full disclosure, I said to her, are these real topics, or are these topics that you think would make good conversation? She said, oh, no, ma'am, I am going through all of these right now. And so what I haven't said to you, Vita, is that I'm surprised at 2 of them, not because I don't know that they happened to us, but knowing you, I think you already know the answers to these, but what I also know is in my own life, when I coach with Amber de la Garza or I coach with Eileen Hahn, these are the people that I go to for coaching. I know that just because we know the answer sometimes doesn't mean we have the words to express it, or we just need that little lipo moment to, I guess, have us step into our space, our Sandra Funk, stand in our space, right? That moment. And so I don't know if that's what you need today, but that's what we're going to discover, because we are literally flying blind. I have your questions, but we haven't discussed it beyond that. So why don't you go ahead?
Can I just say, you just hit the nail on the head. Well, actually on 2 things, really. Number one is that you said that it was a little bit surprising for you to hear that I was struggling with a couple of these. And And I think it's because you know me as, pretty good business person and well versed in many things business, and someone who's pretty organized and who has my processes straight and all that. And I think the listeners know me as such as well. And so I think one of my points, besides the fact that I'm struggling, but another reason to put it on the agenda today is because if I'm struggling and I tend to be pretty strong in these areas, I can only imagine how someone with maybe less experience and strength is struggling with something like this as well. So I thought it would be a very helpful thing for other designers and window pros to hear. So that's number one. And number two, when you said that, I probably know the answer, but I need to hear the words like ding, 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 ding. And of any coaches out there, I think your strength, LuAnn, is finding the right words. It is being able to massage the message back to the customer or even to yourself in your own head in the way that it doesn't come through as, arrogant, aggressive, unprofessional, whatever other way. Like, you just have a way with words. And even though you're right, I may know how to act and I may know most of what to say, but knowing your strength and of course your experience, I'm always interested to hear how you would say it.
And I have to say, when people work with me long term, that is something that is commonly said. It is, how do you, the way you put words together, the way you figure out and turn it on their head. One of my long-term chairman of the board clients, we have an inside phrase between the two of us: easy breezy. We just, there's some conversations that they are very important and they are very charged and they do have a lot at stake, but I'm consistently saying, let's just take it easy breezy. Let's get it down to the facts. Let's just present the facts and let's just say it in an easy breezy way so that it's like, this is how it is. We're not looking for trouble in this, when we present this to you. But I recognize that it does take some massaging. So let's do this. Share with us, this first problem that you are talking about when new designers come to Vitalia Inc. You're having a little bit of a struggle here in something in this process.
Yep. Okay. So I first need to say that we have been very lucky in the last 2 years, and in particular this year, even though this has been a very tough year on many levels, but business-wise, we are actually going to be ahead of last year, and last year was over 30% ahead of previous year.
Wow.
And so the reason for the growth is twofold. Number one is that existing designers continue to trust us and give us their projects, and some of those projects are bigger than they were last year. And that's wonderful, and that's great, and we are completely fine doing that. The reason number two for the growth is we are lucky and privileged and humbled, and I truly mean all of those words, to be approached by new designers. Now, the reason we're being approached by new designers is because of all the marketing and all the visibility and, this show as well. So, huge gratitude to you, LuAnn. So of all the visibility things that I've been doing for the last couple of years, they're truly coming to fruition and manifesting themselves in phone calls and emails from brand new designers that are saying, Vita, I've seen you here, there, and, everywhere. And I would like to discuss a project with you. And so where the challenge comes in that I am trying to build my business and scale it in such a way where, and that's kind of like where my short and the long-term goals come in, where I have staff now who supports our clients and supports me in running this business. And I have a very capable window treatment specialist. Her name is Beata, and she would be the equivalent to your Kimberly at WindowWorks. And she's fabulous. She's got 20 years of experience. She is super sweet. She's incredibly knowledgeable. So, she's all those wonderful things. And once the new designers get to know her, they love working with her and they don't mind not working with me. But it's getting through the hurdle of getting them there that has been a little bit of a struggle. And in some instances, some designers are totally fine working with her and they completely understand and they love it and everything is great. But there are definitely some designers that still would really want to work with me and me only. And that has been a struggle.
Okay. So I have a perfect, this is my exact experience at WindowWorks, and to your point with Kimberly. And I would say that first we have to decide, when we go to the designers that are really pushing you back and they are still saying they want to work with you, I want to first have you just consider, is it true for every one of their projects? Like for a particular designer, Sally Smith is just, oh, wait, aren't you coming? Aren't you coming? Oh, Beata's coming. Why is it not you? If it's every project, then that's one scenario. If there's certain projects that maybe the stakes are a little higher for that particular designer on that job, maybe it's a motorization, maybe there's just something that makes the designer feel a little uneasy, that he or she feels she really needs the Vita on the job, so that you're the rock. And as good as Beata is, they don't have the years experience to know that if a curveball gets hit, that Beata's going to hit it in real time in front of everybody. So there's a nuance there, right? So that's on a per case basis. But the thing is that I have to say, for all new designers coming to you, Vita, I just took 3 phone calls in the last week and a half from new designers calling WindowWorks that I happened to answer the phone, and I'm not normally the one that does that. But when I did, they all happened to be coming from the podcast, so they were all like, here I am, WindowWorks, LuAnn speaking. Oh, it's like, LuAnn. Really? Yeah. And I'm like, can I help you? Oh, I never thought you would answer the phone. Like, this is so-and-so, and I listened to your podcast, and I thought I would call and see what it is to do business with WindowWorks, right? And so I have the conversation, but I don't even apologize. You're never going to meet me. It's not that you're never, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, that's great. So let me tell you how it works. You give us an idea of the scope of your project. What town are you located? Where's the project located? What type of products are you looking for? Great. That sounds like a perfect project that I would assign to Kim. So let me take a look at Kim's calendar, blah, blah, blah. It's just that's how it is. You're coming through the front door and I'm giving you my best salesperson. You know what I mean? There's no option for LuAnn to come out, right? And the thing is, I want to say to you is, it's not that in the last 5 years of the podcast that someone hasn't called and hasn't pushed a little bit more and said, well, but couldn't LuAnn come out? And what happens then I will get on the phone if it's that day, if I'm there, or I have to call back, and I will, whatever the conversation is, ultimately the point I'm going to get to is, you don't want me to do this. I will bottleneck your project. You see, you want somebody that is going to give their full attention to your project. And I have trained Kim at my knee. She is my mini me. And I said, and student has surpassed teacher at this point. So I do those things. I tell them about the flaw of working with me at this point, because I'm not going to be available, beck and call for 16 revisions in 20 seconds, okay? Right. Which is exactly what we get. Like the emails, I look at them, I'm like, you kidding me with this, right?
Of course, right. A bazillion revisions, right.
Exactly. And of course, I'm being, judgmental, but the fact is that revisions are required and it's necessary and it's part of the job. But, you are, as you said, you are the face of your company. It is clear that yours is a rather large company. And so it's completely logical that how can you be at the beck and call for a designer that might have deadline-driven questions, problems, quotes needed, and here you are off doing the business of the operating of the business job.
Yeah, I really like where you're going with this a lot. What you just did is you just what was the phrase used before? Turned the things on their head.
Right.
Where I am reframing the understanding of the situation from it's a negative that I'm not there to actually it's a positive that I'm not there.
Exactly.
And it's positive for them, and they should not want me there. So that's how I'm reframing their point of view.
Exactly. The
Mm-hmm.
keys in this tactic
Mm-hmm.
is that A, you explain how the benefits are for them by having Beata on the case, because that's all Beata does. She doesn't pay the bills, she doesn't
Yep.
manage the workroom, she
Yep.
doesn't do the marketing. She
Yep.
comes in and she takes care of window treatments, okay?
That's right.
So that's number 1, is the framing of the value of that. But the number 2 is the opportunity to continually in the conversation look for genuine organic ways to express your confidence in Beata. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what I like. It is no joke. Kim has in many ways surpassed me, and not in every way, but in the ways that she has, then I call it out. She's got an eye. She knows fabrics like nobody's brother, and she just stays on top of everything that's current and that's new. She knows drapery hardware like the back of her hand, like whatever I can think of. And
Mm-hmm.
every statement I say has to be true. Because if
Yeah,
I
and
say she's a motorization expert and then they need to have a project and there's a problem, then it's like, what happened to her being an expert? She's skilled, but I would never say she's the end all be all. I'd be like, we need Billy and Carlos for that, right?
right, right, right. And um, it, what you're saying is really ringing true with me as well, because what happens is if you are not kind of boots on the ground, eyes on the window all the time, 24/7, you don't become as up to date on
Mm-hmm.
all the different, I don't, not innovations, but what is it, like updates to the
Yep.
product lines, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
know that those product guidebooks, I mean, they could be like 2 to 3 inches thick in a single spaced font number 10,
Oh,
type number
yeah.
10 type situation. So to know like the that the projection of the headrail on a woven wood, if it's a cord lock, is 1.5 inches, but if it switches to a cordless, then it's 2.5 inches. And in this situation you get a return, and in that situation you don't. And then there's 5 different bottom rail options, but the bottom rail, not every bottom rail is available with every lift system. and
Oh,
and
yeah.
those variations, statistically could be, a lot.
That's the truth.
And
I don't keep up on all that stuff. You know
exactly.
what I mean? And Kimberly does. And so this is your keys. Your keys is to frame it so the value is there for them, but you're instilling that 100% confidence that, you know, Beata not only came to you with many years experience, but she's also now worked with you and for you, and she knows, like, you know what I always call it, the window works way.
Yep.
So the Vitalia Inc. way. We have
Yep.
our own standards. Your company has standards, and you've well trained Beata on what your standards are, and you have 100% confidence that she knows them. And then for the really trepidatious one who's a little like, I'm not in the building. That's the last and
Mhm.
final thing. Look,
Mhm.
you get into a project, you get into a situation. I'm not at the Bahamas, okay? I'm here if you need me. But
Yeah.
I promise you, there's nothing that Kim can't do in my place. And that's the same thing. So that's how I handle new ones. And
What
that's what
what
I
if
want you to do with new ones, right?
Yeah, so here's another nuance in the situation that um it's not said, LuAnn. It's not like, so the little nuance that we discussed prior is a designer who would say, "Oh, you're not coming," and kind of like overtly expresses her disappointment. There's a nuance of when the designer is disappointed but she doesn't say anything, and I can't, it's not in an email, it's not verbal, it's not in her body language because I can't see it, we may be communicating over the phone, but just intuitively on that sixth sense level I can feel it. And so, do I then launch into the explanation of why Beata is better than me or just as good, or how it's better for them? Or does that position me as someone who starts in a defensive position, situation right off the bat?
So as soon as I say this to you, you're going to be like, "Oh yeah, that's right." You know what I'm going to say. What I'm going to say is, we take the elephant out of the closet and we stick it right in the middle of the room. So if you're having that conversation and you're getting that sixth sense spidey feeling and the person is not expressing it, rather than do two things, rather than leave it in the closet and you hang up and you have this icky feeling in the pit of your stomach, and number two, rather than attribute what you believe the icky feeling is to, okay? See, that's the mistake there. You are making an assumption that that sixth sense spidey thing is because they're disappointed in what happened. And it may be true, but here's what I'm going to tell you. You asked them very nicely, hey, I'm just getting a feeling like something's off. Could you share with me what it is? You see? And now if they say, well, I thought you were going to come. I thought why are you setting me up with Beata? All you're doing is you're giving the soft landing for them to actually say what they're upset about or what their nudge is. Maybe it's not fully an upset. Because the fact of the matter is it might be that you made the appointment for 10 days from now and they're like, yeah, I was just thinking internally because I was going to take vacation days that day and you're not available before and I don't want to wait till after, and that was just weighing on my brain. And now you're like, oh, I can fix that. Let me do this. Let me do that. So, we can't decide if what's expensive for somebody else, and we can't decide what somebody's, thing is for them. But we can give them a safe place that you're my colleague. I care about you, and I'm feeling like I'm leaving you a little unhappy at this moment. Before we hang up, is there something going on you'd like to share with me?
So you would specifically keep it open-ended like that versus a closed-ended question of kind of like, now this is not the right wording at all, but that's the only one that comes to my head is like, I hope that you're not disappointed. I don't want
Are you pissed I'm not coming?
Situation for disappointment right away.
Yes, no, right. Because here's the thing. If I ask you the open-ended question, and you say, I'm just, I thought you were going to come, I could say, oh my goodness. Oh yes. But you know what? Please don't be disappointed I'm coming because you're in such good hands with Beata. And in fact, you're in better hands with her because I have so much on my plate now that if your project starts to need information on a deadline and you need details, you don't want me bottlenecking it. You see, then you go right back into that. But if you say, oh, are you disappointed I'm not coming? And they say, yes. What do you say? Tough luck? Like, I don't care? Right. It gets it hard to put it back into what I say with my other client. Easy breezy. It's you're disappointed, but that's not my problem. Let me tell you why it's not a problem for you either. Right? Yeah. Like we're switching it to a positive.
Yep. So another little nuance of this, kind of like if we were to sort of dig a little bit deeper, is I have some people that I'm noticing they're not expressly they're not expressing their disappointment. And well, maybe it was my fault because I haven't given them the stage to do so. But what's happening is I'm seeing, or maybe even more feeling, because so much of this is sixth sense, right? So I'm feeling like they're delaying the appointments because I'm not coming, as if they're thinking that if they don't schedule anything for today or this week or next week, then maybe by the time the third week rolls around, I will all of a sudden magically make myself available. Should I then make kind of an open-ended and sort of that honest conversation with them about, like just putting that elephant smack in the middle of the room?
So now we're talking about, so I understand, we're talking about designers that have been part of your client base and were accustomed to you being on the projects, and you're trying.
No. Still new designers. Still new. Actually, believe it or not, it's been easier for me to convert my existing designers to Beata than sometimes, not all the time. A lot of times, new designers are totally fine working with her too. I mean, it's always like, we always the problems are the 10% of the situation. Of course, that's what our conversation ends up being all about. And I mean, I guess that's why and as much as I did suggest this topic and idea, there's so much fear and vulnerability in this. You have no idea.
Because they're listening.
And just putting yourself out there and declaring to airing your dirty, that only 10% of your dirty laundry out to, to the world,
Well,
which is
look,
fine. It's
Vita,
totally fine.
you
There's
know,
no,
we all have problems in our business. And but by you taking, your problems and putting them on stage, as you said in the beginning, others are going to benefit from it. And so
yeah.
this is why I have 19 coaches, because we all have to have people help us. Okay. So don't feel that you are putting yourself in a less than light because you have actual challenges in your business. I mean, that's the reality of business. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. And then, that's one of those things, you understand it in your head, but
Yes.
like in your heart and deep down. Anyway, I will totally, I am wearing my big girl panties right now.
That's it. Let's go, lady.
Right here on the stage for everyone to hear.
Exactly. All right. So these are new designers then. They've never had your undivided attention.
Yes,
I
exactly.
wonder, do you actually, I would have to know then, because what makes them so sure you are going to, what I mean by that is, we've probably been so lucky to have, I would easily guess 40 or 50 designers work with us at WindowWorks since the podcast started. And I can tell you that randomly someone will say, "Oh, does LuAnn come out?" And everybody's just like, "No, she doesn't." Right? And it stops there. Now, do I know for a fact somebody then said, "Okay, I'll call you back," and never called back? I don't know that for a fact, but
Yeah.
I would tell you that I don't believe it's really the case. I do believe that most people understand that you're running a business, and just like an interior designer needs to give faith and empowerment and trust to a junior designer to handle a meeting with a carpenter, or to handle a meeting, with the tile guy, it's no different for us. That people have to be trained up and empowered to do things in our business because we're growing a business. And so I wonder, like, just knowing our own personal experience, that there hasn't been the amount of pushback that you are sensing. I wonder if it is really that. And maybe you should ask. And I would say, look, we're not going to blanket like, okay, call up everybody that's ever, had and like interrogate everybody. Hey, are you having a problem? Because I'm saying Beata. Right? But maybe look for those opportunities. And what I would say is, when you said, would you be proactive? So now here's where I might. So for instance, if somebody were to call me, this is what I'm hearing is the situation. Somebody calls, you're like, "Oh, I can have Beata come out next week." "Oh, not next week. How about the following?" Like, you're getting a sense that they're delaying it because they're waiting for you to say the day you're available, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So in that moment, I'm probably I'm not going to say, "Are you having a problem with this? What's bothering you?" Because it's not so obvious. But in that moment, I might try to, and I know what I do is do that organic compliment of Beata. So it's like, "Oh, could she come on Tuesday?" "No, I'm booked, blah, blah, blah." "Oh, next Thursday." "Okay. All right, great. Well, the following week, she's got time." I got to tell you, and then I would just go into it. I got to tell you, this lady is fabulous. You're going to love it when you meet her. She's so knowledgeable. She's been working with me for X amount of years, but she's got 20 years before that. And she just, turned in a project the other day. The creativity on it was through the roof. I'm so proud of her. So on that Thursday, are you available?
Yeah.
Like, you just give a little punch in the arm there, just a little. They didn't ask for it. They didn't say they wanted it. If it wasn't what was bothering them, there's no love lost on sharing the expertise of Beata in that way. But when your spidey sense is crawling that's the thing, you're right. In that moment, it's not like, "What's your problem, lady?" Right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, this was really, really good. I feel very complete. I'll have to re-listen to it, of course, and take notes
Good.
on this particular one. But I definitely understand that, in the way, how much I love marketing. And in marketing, it's never about you. It's about them. It's about the client, about the customer, about the problem, about the solution, and positioning it and framing it in the way that that other person that you're speaking to sees the benefit to them.
Right.
So I need to put on my marketing hat when I talk
That's right. That's right.
potential
And
clients.
the thing is, we know we always make the case for the actual benefits, the things that are true, right?
Of course. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all steeped in honesty for
That's
sure.
right. That's
Don't
right.
just
That's right. And
talk.
then I just want to say one other thing. You mentioned that you're not having the difficulty with your long term designer clients as much,
Mm-hmm.
but for someone listening that maybe is training up a senior designer or a junior designer and is thinking, or a window treatment specialist like us that is training up a sales rep, and it's like, yeah, but wait a minute, my problem is my
Yeah.
existing client base. So I will tell you that what I did was for 3 years. Kimberly came with me on every single appointment for 3 years. And
Mm-hmm.
so does it need to be 3 years? Could it be 1 year? Could it be 6 months? Could it be just your top accounts? But my point is that Window Works, because we do retail facing as well, we have many more clients in the course of a year than a trade facing business like yours does, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I have literally hundreds of clients that we were at one point in our lives pregnant at the same time, and then did the nurseries, did the teen rooms, did the college rooms, and did the apartments in the homes of these children.
So
And
there's a lot of history there.
yes, and to just say, hey, is LuAnn there? We'd like her to come and do, our retirement place. We just downsized. No, but Kim's coming. That's a little abrupt. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah,
And so,
definitely.
so that's the thing. And so for 3 years, she came with me, and it was like she just was there. And in those 3 years, she saw the same designers over and over again, saw those same, big time loyal repeat clients at least one or two or three times in that period of time. And so anybody that was left over, like for instance, let's call it like Sandra Funk.
Mm-hmm.
Sandra Funk, Kim came with me for 3 years. Yeah, I'll tell you what's a funny story. Here's a funny story. Sandra Funk was the last designer account I let go of because I felt like I shouldn't let go of it, right? I
Yeah.
felt like,
Yeah.
ugh. But what's funny is, this is the gosh honest to God truth. It got to the point that the project manager for Sandra Funk would say to Kim, because Kim had been on the projects dozens of times, when is she just going to give you our account? Right? Because the
That's the best case
information,
scenario when
right?
the
Because
client is
the
asking
information
to
was
be
delayed. The information was delayed. If I was off the grid for 2 days podcasting, they are waiting for quotes. And
Yeah.
so that's the ultimate light bulb moment. I am not serving Sandra Funk by keeping this account.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
see?
Yeah.
I'm
No,
clogging her system.
Yep,
And
yep,
so,
yep, exactly. And so I can share with you, I think the reason one that my existing designers were more open to it is because that handoff was a lot more gradual, so much similar to what you and Kim
right,
did. I don't know if I did it for I mean, I definitely didn't do it for 3 years, but at least on the very first appointment, I never sent Beata by herself
right,
on a first appointment with an existing
right,
designer. I always
exactly.
went to that appointment. It was me and her, and I would introduce her, be like, "Hello, Mrs. Sally Smith, Sally the designer. This is Beata, and this is how knowledgeable she is." And I did all of all of the
Exactly.
praise as she deserves, and and then the actual act of putting together the estimate and going through the revisions and doing the product knowledge and providing the product knowledge and answering questions and all that was then gradually given to Beata. And if it was via email, I was always copied, and that's something that I insist on doing to this day
Oh, us
anyway.
too.
Right. So and then another thing that I can say to those listening is and another thing that I do say to existing designers and new designers is that even though I'm not physically at the appointment and physically taking measurements, I am just as intimately aware of every project that comes through Vitalia Inc.
Mm-hmm.
We have weekly staff meetings where we discuss every project. Beata brings a lot of projects to me just to have kind of like a two heads better than one kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
we'll look at fabrics together. We do production orders together. There's so many opportunities and instances where my hands, my brain, my eyeballs, my head touches that order. It's like I am still there. It's just not just not that first appointment.
So you see, you just sold it, you see, and now the only thing you tie it with a bow is, but the individual day-to-day revisions, quote requests, updates for real-time information, you don't want me clogging that up for you. You want Beata there. You want her to be the one. You see the emails coming back. I'm copied on it. But when you need a revision, you need a change in fabric and a new fabric yardage quote, it can happen on the day you need it because that's what she does. And all of the others, all of the other stuff is true, that you're involved, you're overseeing, you're having weekly meetings, yada, yada. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Very good.
I have to kind of wrap this up with just saying how grateful I am to you, LuAnn. I've been coaching with you for, my gosh, is it 2 years or 3 years? I'm losing count.
I
It
know.
feels like
I'm
a
thinking
long time.
it's coming up on 3.
It might as well be 10 years, but that's how close I feel to you, and how just so grateful and so empowered by the way you say things. And I will never forget, I might have shared it before, but I will never forget that situation. It was in the beginning of this year where I was in my business going through a very, very difficult situation with a certain designer. And it was so difficult, it brought me to tears. I mean, literally, just like I was like sobbing kind of tears, not just like a little, let me have a glass of wine kind of tear.
There is a difference.
Yeah. And you were available to me on an ad hoc kind of basis. I didn't expect it. It's certainly not my expectation, nor it should be. But there you were, supporting me, helping me, guiding me, and at the same time, as you were doing all of these supportive things and phrases and messages, you also found a way of saying, of bringing one of your main messages to me, even though this was a very hard time. I was at the point of hardship, and had you said it a different way, I wouldn't have been ready to hear it. But again, you have the way with words, and you were able to bring this point home to me. And your point, which you've made many times on this show, is, where is that point of origin? Where is that point of truth that you can rewind the whole situation back and say to yourself, if I did something different at this very moment, at this minute, how would this situation would have evolved had I done that? And so you have this ability as a coach to be supportive and be, nice, and I want to say motherly, which it's not the right word, but we're virtually hugging all the time. But at the same time, be able to let me understand that there is a fault of mine at this, and not that you ever use the word fault ever. But the message is that you could have done something differently, Vita, and had you done something differently in this, that, and the other way, this situation would have evolved, and very differently too. So having that combination of virtual hug and a little bit of a whip is very unique. That's my point in this whole thing.
Well, I mean, the reality is that if you only get comfort, then you don't learn how to avoid that the next time. And so there is a place for comfort, because there is a big difference, to your point of this, I'm crying and let's have a glass of wine, and I'm crying, right? And so when whether it's crying, I'm having a glass of wine, or I'm crying, there is always the need for understanding and comfort and empathy. And you know what, sweetie, I've been there. I've made the same mistake. I've been in the wine and in the crying and all the things too. However, if I don't help you and I don't press you and I don't urge you to find the place that only you could have changed the outcome, you are destined to repeat it. And I don't ever want you to repeat it. And so to just say, hey, that designer was such a jerk. Like, it's absolutely pointless. Because, and the thing is, and Kimberly is, what's so funny is she's listened to me for so many years now. She literally will come to me if she's got a mistake that she's made. She will actually come to me with, I really blew it. And I can tell you the point where I blew it. Like, she's already, like, she's like, it was something. And the thing about it is, for you listening, you sometimes have to go back weeks, days, months. It's sometimes it's not always, you could have been right for the last 2 months in a situation. But I know for a fact there is a place that each one of us can go back and own a moment where we just said, oh, let me just not worry about that today. It'll be fine. Or, you know what? I thought I told them and they never asked me anyway. And it was in the email and it was in the fine print and it's their fault. It's like, right. But if it's in fine print and you knew it was a big deal, then could you have avoided this if you highlighted it or if you put it in its own email, whatever it is. And it might be an extra above and beyond the call of duty thing that you would have had to have done to be the one to avoid the problem. But you know what? If you did that, then you're even only more valuable to the people that you're working with because you are the person that will go above the call of duty. So I'm glad that you got help in that moment, and I love working with you, and you're just you really are smart, and it's interesting to see you take your business and literally keep compounding the growth each year, and it's because you don't do but. You don't say, oh, yeah, but that worked for you. It won't work for me. It's like, oh, okay, I'm this magic unicorn in the business world. Right. Okay.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. I mean, even that example alone, had you only been very comforting and very compassionate, empathetic, I would have felt better and nothing would have changed.
Right. That's the thing.
But
that's the thing.
Because you also gave me some tough love, I really looked at our process for that particular part of the process, and I've do it, and we've been trying to be very, very disciplined to adhere to this new part of the process, and we haven't been in that situation since. Not to say that it won't be again, but it will be with a lot more awareness, and it will not catch me by surprise the way it did back in January.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, lady, you're a rock star. Love doing WTF with you, love coaching with you, love doing everything. And I want to just remind everybody that, Kim, who I've been talking a lot about in this episode, remind that every Friday, Kim and Vita at 12 o'clock noon Eastern time go live on WindowWorks Facebook and Vitalia Inc.'s Instagram, and they talk all things window treatments. And you can go and watch the past episodes. And do you know, I guess, where are we at now? What's coming up December, January? Do you have things planned, or you just, you guys figure it out each week?
We're a little bit more organized than that.
Oh, I should have guessed.
We've just finished our episode number 30, and
Wow.
Every time we say our episode number on air, we get so proud of it, and
It's crazy.
Yeah, okay, LuAnn is on episode number 630, and
But
here's
still.
us being all proud of us.
No, and I'm going to tell you something. I never forget when I hit episode 25. Okay, because there is a podcast statistic. These are two words I have trouble with. A podcast. There you go again. Okay, there is a stat in podcasts that it's something like, and I don't remember it exactly now, but something like, 75% of the podcast will never get to the 25th episode. But if you get to the 25th episode, like something like 90% of those will make it. So
all
it's
right,
like,
all right, Kimberly, if you're listening, we're totally making it.
Exactly. So 30 is a big number.
Yeah, it's Kim and I, we totally geek out on all things window treatments. We just did a great episode, very content driven episode on roller shades, and we always show pictures of our installations and we kind of break them apart and then sort of put them back together, letting our listeners know what went well and what didn't, and why we made certain decisions and what we would have done differently. And every month, I have to say, we pick a few designers, some of with whom we do business and some who we just admire from the industry all over the country, and we highlight them and highlight their work with specific concentration, of course, on window treatments. But those are some of our favorite episodes to shine a spotlight on some of the talented designers out there. So yeah, every Friday, 12 noon, Facebook, Instagram, and join us live, ask questions, and also look back through WindowWorks's archives as well as mine, IGTV archives. And there's a lot of information there if you want to one day binge on all things window treatments.
That's awesome, Vita. Thank you so much for joining me today. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for all your help today and always.
All right, let's begin with a thank you to Kirsch for sponsoring the show, shall we? Both Vita and I know that Kirsch is a reliable go-to resource for all your drapery hardware needs. Have you heard about the features that Kirsch has built into their motorized breezer rod? Let me tell you a few. The motor mounts to the back of the track, and this allows a seamless look if you have motorized and cord or baton traverse rods in the same room. The drapery fabrication specs do not change between cord or baton controlled draperies and motorized draperies. This is a nice feature. It cuts down on errors. Don't ask me how I know this. There are no additional returns or any special instructions that you need to make to your drapery work order. Also a very nice feature. And the limits are set automatically after installation, and the remote control is radio frequency and easily pairs with the motor tug feature. Okay, this means when the drapery is pulled, the motor will traverse the drapery. That's a really cool thing too, because you know what happens? People don't realize a drape is motorized and they go to pull on it. And when you don't have that feature on your motorized rod, then you start to have people who break your motorized rods. Okay. It's just like anything else. Kirsch is just like the rest of us. They build in things to accommodate the problems that people have, right? We change our systems in our business every time we have a problem in it, right? So go to Kirsch.com today. Find the dealer in your area and learn how Kirsch can help you on your next window treatment project. All right, now, I just love hanging out with Vita. I love coaching. I love coaching Vita. I love coaching other people. So this was awesome for me. And I think Vita, and I hope you too, got some good value out of this. I have to say I commend Vita for offering to share what she's struggling with right now. Make no mistake about it. She is very successful. Vita has built an impressive business, which she's rightfully proud of. But being willing to also get real and show the stuff that's not so pretty, that's pretty cool, right? Her vulnerability helps us remember that all of us, no matter how successful we are or how well put together we look on social media, we are all struggling with something, whether it's in business or our personal lives or both. All right. You just don't normally hear that on air, right? So, and Vita is such a great example of really embracing what is the best route to finding solutions to a problem, asking for help. Right? No reinventing a wheel, no trying to go it alone. I've coached Vita and other business owners like yourself. And while every one of us is different, we all have one thing in common. When we go and ask for coaching, we're really showing our bravery, right? We're showing that we're brave enough to say, I need help. I don't have all the answers, and I could use someone in my court to help me be the best I can. I know from experience that this has been the case for me in my business. From Nancy Gans-Calfer to Amber De La Garza to my cousin Eileen Hahn, these ladies have all impacted my business because, like Vita, and maybe you, I've got blind spots, and sometimes just talking through something so that you can see the problem for what it is, and more importantly, see the solution that was there all the time, right? So, what was Vita struggling with today? Well, she was struggling with making clients see that she wasn't the only one in her company that could deliver the product and experience that that client expected. The client wasn't sure, didn't have faith that everyone could do just what they were accustomed to having Vita do with them and for them. And the thing is, Vita knew what to do, right? She just needed to tweak her approach a bit to talk through an effective strategy for organically and genuinely, and most importantly, confidently relaying to clients how her business runs. Okay, so let's review a few of the key tactics that Vita will use and you could use if you're in the situation as well. Number one, we don't apologize, right? We're confident in the way we choose to manage our business, and we talk about it like it's easy breezy. Sounds like a project for Beata. Let me take a look at her calendar, right? There's no negative preamble or setup to that. And then, how about number two, which is reframing the negative into a positive, saying you don't actually want me on your project. You want Beata, for example, because she will be fully dedicated to your project and available when you need her. Or maybe a particular designer or junior or somebody in your firm has a skill set that you don't have. So maybe as a principal, you're really great at the space planning, but somebody that works for you is really good at accessorizing. So when you introduce that other person is going to take on that part of the project, don't hesitate to just sing their praises and say how good they are at it. And then number three is to look for genuine organic ways to express your confidence in your staff all throughout the conversation. So it's not a letdown when you are going to introduce and hopefully have them work with them in a particular part or all of a project. All right. And number four, when you feel like there's something they're not saying, just ask. Just address it. I'm getting a feeling that something is off. What's going on in your mind? Would you share it with me, right? Number five, and that's always a good practice, by the way. The things that you learn when you just ask, you know in your gut when something is hanging in the middle of the space, right? And that's where you learn how to find the things that your client is really hoping you'll deliver to them, and no matter what the scenario is, okay? Number five, bring key staff to client-facing appointments. This helps to both train them and it helps the clients to become familiar with them. And it also makes it so that the client can see your trust in them, that you look to them and you ask them for collaboration and questions, and it's a team effort, right? And then number six is make sure your staff is CCing you on the client emails, because this helps you stay in the loop, and it also continues to instill that confidence in the clients that you're not checked out of the process, that you have an idea of everything that's going on in their project, and if they need you to step in or your employee needs you to step in, you're up to speed. All right. So I have to say, great. Thank you, Vita, truly, for not a, huge problem, but it's the little things like this that when you tweak them and you get some clarity on it can make some big strides in your business. All right. And if you have a little question like this, don't forget, I haven't mentioned it in a long time, but we have the What Would Lou Do? You could submit your questions to, I think it's LuAnnNigara.com/WWLD. But if it's not, you could go to info@LuAnnNigara.com, I'm sure. But this is a way to get a nice little one-off answer if you have a little thing that's nudging at you. All right. Now, and if you did like this coaching session, I want to tell you, get ready for LuAnn Live next week, right? Tickets are on sale until this Sunday, if you're listening in real time, January 31st, 2021. All right. And I have to say, we have an exciting announcement. If you are a VIP attendee, either you already have your VIP ticket or you've been on the fence, guess who is going to be there for VIP Day, right? We have a special guest, Katie Olson, the editor-in-chief at AD Pro, right? Is this amazing? Katie is going to present her best strategies for you to get your projects published. Literally going to give you, this is exactly as an editor-in-chief of AD Pro that I want to see when you pitch me. I mean, come on, this is not theory. This is an editor-in-chief giving you the roadmap to get published. And then more exciting than her presentation is that Katie is going to be one of the VIPs for the roundtable sessions. So when your Zoom room changes, you might be looking at the eyeballs of Katie Olson from AD Pro. How cool is that? So I hope you'll join us. I hope you'll join us as a VIP. If you're interested in all the details about LuAnn Live, go to LuAnnLive.com. All right, so I'm looking forward to seeing you there. I'm looking forward to having the real conversations, just like the one I just had with Vita. And I'm really looking forward to helping you achieve the confidence and the know-how to reach your potential and earn what you deserve. Thanks so much for joining me today. Decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.